said, but we have to move him here. And she tried to sign over the crowd.
My name is Baffy Сейджерс, and I live in Texas in the United States, and I'm a registered nurse. So I work with a lot of specialized equipment and medical supplies. Prior to becoming a nurse, I was in the Air Force and have 18 years experience as an aircraft mechanic. I live on 10 acres in the rural area of East Texas. I live near my children and my grandchildren. My husband's retired, so we spend a lot of time together, even though I was still working up until the time I came here. So it was a nice, quiet life. I would sit on the couch and watch the news at night, and I, just like the rest of the world, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And there were times when I would just literally cry, and thinking about it now, it just makes me very emotional, because people would sit around and they would say, this is terrible, somebody should do something. But who is somebody? And I knew with my military experience, with my nursing experience, I didn't know what I could do over here, but I knew I could do something. And we would see news of the people putting together Molotov cocktails to throw at the Russian columns as they came through. And I thought, well, if I can't work on airplanes, and if I can't work as a nurse, I can certainly make Molotov cocktails. And so I told my family, I'm going to Ukraine, because somebody's got to be somebody. I kind of was not honest with my family. I told them that everything was arranged and I had a place to stay and I had a job, and really I had nothing. I just got online and got a plane ticket, and I went to Warsaw, and then I went to the border in Poland and got a train to Lviv, and didn't know anybody and didn't know what I was going to do. It was a long journey here, and it was scary because I didn't have any connections, but it was well worth it. When I was on the train crossing the border, I met an American. We talked, and he could be my son. He's my kid's age. And so he took my details and stayed in touch with me, and he met the people here, and he said, have I got a job for you? This was made for you. And they needed somebody with the knowledge of the medical supplies that they had. My job here right now is when we receive donations, I triage medical supplies into 3 categories. What's good for civilian humanitarian relief, what's good for hospital, and what's good for closer to the front line, to the people who are defending Ukraine. And so I divide it up, and then I arrange the shipments, and then I track the shipments and make sure that everything is going where it's supposed to and things are accounted for, that they don't wind up in warehouses where they can't be used. None of these supplies are any good if they sit on the shelf. Not having the supply chain that we would like to have, everything having to go across the border instead of being delivered directly here to Ukraine. So everything we get has to go to Poland, and then it has to be brought in, and just time management. So being able to get things in a timely manner and get things out in a timely manner. The fuel situation, of course, that hampers some of our distribution. And not having enough volunteers to be able to do everything that we want to do. So you have to rely on volunteers, and you do what you can with the people that you have to help you. And we could always use more people and more volunteers. Initially, when the war started, you could come over here and do what I did. Organizations were very willing to take on anyone. And as those roles with those organizations filled up, now they've become more and more selective. My advice would be find a reputable organization that is helping over here and apply through that channel. For instance, I'm with Task Force Yankee. We have a website. If you want to apply, there's instructions on how to apply. Somebody will contact you and try to help you. If you just want to come over and you have an idea of what you want to do, we can help people connect with those organizations. There are other organizations that are working over here that they can connect with, and just find a reputable organization. People's attention span is short, and they get what we call compassion fatigue. And so as the war goes on, more and more people will turn their attention to other areas, and there's not as many donations, there are not as many shipments coming in. And so you don't want to exploit the bad things that are happening here in Ukraine. But if the world doesn't see what kind of bad things are happening here in Ukraine, then people are going to forget. When I post on my social media, I always try to post the positive and remind people that Ukraine's still going on. And so I think that that's the biggest challenge there about the world stepping up and helping enough, is that people forget. People get caught up in their own lives and they forget what's going on here as it goes out of the news cycle. So keeping it in the news cycle is vital. And as long as it's between Russia and Ukraine and other countries aren't involved, it's easy for the other countries to forget. I have a hard exit date that I have to leave, and it's not for a couple of months. We're already transitioning somebody to take my spot, so that's already built into the plan with our organization. If I'm here and I'm running this warehouse and I have to go home, who's going to run the warehouse? So we all have plans of how that handoff is going to take place. So there's already a person in training to take my spot, and she's fabulous. She'll do great, and when I leave, it should be seamless. Like, nobody should even know I was here. Nobody should even know that I'm gone, because that handoff should be that smooth. There are days when I'm just tired, but it's a good kind of tired. And then I speak to somebody that I've given supplies to, or somebody will message me, or even our own team that's here. They're so wonderful. And once you get that message saying, thank you so much, like, all the stress is gone. So yes, there's stress, but it's a good kind of stress. And people handle stress in different ways. I'm one of those people that I work best under stress. And so people say, you work too much. But, they've told me that my whole life. I've had a job since I was 12 years old, and I'll probably be at work when I pass away. Because I just work. I like to work. So, well, my husband would love to be here, and he's kind of jealous that he's not here with me, but he had things he had to take care of in the States, and so he was not able to come. I have one daughter who is like, oh yeah, Mom, go get him, bring me back an AR, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. And then I have another daughter that, when I came, it was still cold here, and she's like, but Mom, you're going to be so cold. And of course, they worry about the missiles and the rockets, but everywhere in the world there's dangers. I keep my family updated regularly, and they know the realities of it. I have a son who's in the Air Force who would love to be here, but of course he's in the U.S. military and can't come. So they've really been very supportive. And because of that, I don't have to worry about what's happening at home. I can come here and focus on my job here and not have to worry about them. So they've been really wonderful about it. And plus they know me, I'm hard-headed. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna do it.